Hi, virtual students. We are working on Unit 1, Part 2 here. Um, we're working on Unit 1, Part 2 here, and um, starting out with a daily blog here. So let me get this moved here for you. Answering a question that you might be familiar with, okay, kind of right down the road from our high school. Um, there's two Speedway gas stations on the same intersection. So just kind of think about that for a second. See if you can come up for a reason why that is, and come back after you fill that out. Okay, so if you're familiar with the intersection, there's two speedways in the same intersection, and obviously from a standpoint of buying gas, okay, we like to buy gas that is as cheap as possible, even if it's a penny cheaper. We kind of get picky and go to the cheaper gas station. And so if Speedway owns, so to speak, the intersection, obviously they may not have to lower their price. You might have also said, Speedway is in a situation where now you pick Speedway no matter which way you want to turn out of the intersection, right? And so, as businesses try to compete and try to get your money for the most part, right? They're going to do things to try to give them as many chances as possible. Some other answers I've heard in the past are, maybe it saves on shipping costs. Maybe they can share employees. There's any number of reasons why it could happen. I don't have the answer. But again, you're playing that role of an economist. You're trying to think of how people are thinking. Okay. So you're filling out those notes. You should have filled out the link on your, or I'm sorry, clicked on the link that is in virtual Canvas, and you'll be following along with these notes here. Okay, you'll see they just kind of follow along with the PowerPoint. Pretty straightforward. We talked in the last part about what econ is, and we're trying to study how people and societies make choices. We've got to make choices because we want more stuff. And not only do you and I want more stuff, but societies want more stuff, right? They want more money to spend. They want higher incomes. They want better schools. They want better roads, safer police forces, all those things. And they've got to make choices on how they're going to spend their money as well. Econ is divided into a couple different parts. Extremely broadly speaking, there's going to be microeconomics and macroeconomics. And so when you get to college, if you take an econ class, you'll see a micro side that can focus on individuals, also businesses, and we also have a macro side which focuses on entire societies and things that governments can do to try to improve things for um, economies. The The problem of scarcity is why this exists, and we kind of mentioned before. Well, we're trying to analyze, how and why people make decisions, and we mentioned already that we have to make decisions because our resources are limited. So whether it be our income resource, whether it be a natural resource, whether it be land that you own or I own or whatever, I've got to decide how to utilize that stuff to try to satisfy myself, right? And so whether that means making money, whether that means doing other things, whatever that means. We also can't forget the resource of time. And in my opinion, time is the most scarce resource in the world because no matter what, we can't buy more of it. And a lot of time, answers about what the most scarce resource is, people will put oil or clean air because we get the idea of once it's gone, it's never coming back. Well, time is the exact same thing. Once it's gone, we don't get it back. And we've said a lot of times, I'm sure in your life, you said, well, that's an hour I'll never get back, right? When you do something boring or unenjoyable. And so again, that time is an extremely valuable resource. And even though it feels like you have a lot of it sometimes, again, once you use it, you don't get it back. So again, we can do things to dig deeper for oil. We can do things to dig deeper for gold or diamonds. We can do things to clean our air. But time is something that we can't get more of. And there's a reason why, right? Hospital bills are expensive because we would give a whole lot of stuff if we were about to die to live a little bit longer. We've kind of mentioned that our incomes and time are limited. I'm not going to sit here and repeat myself on that. So, um, again, like we said, though, that societies face choices too. If the government collects your tax money, what's an example of that they have to make a choice? Well, are they going to spend your tax money on the military, or are they going to spend your tax money on unemployment insurance or other types of welfare programs? And so the government has to make those decisions as well. They have limited resources that they're allowed to um, that they're allowed to how to make a decision on how to spend your money. A fancy econ term for what we give up. Okay, so when we say, well, you know what, I spent my money on going to the prom. That means I can't spend my money on going out to eat this week or going to the movies or whatever, right? And so, we think of things like that. Well, we can use the term trade-off to identify those things as well. And so, a trade-off is just a fancy way of saying what something costs. So you decide, again, in a time situation, okay, what's an example of something you give up in order to, spend time at school today? Well, if you're spending an hour on doing your work today, you might give up an hour of being able to go to work, right? And we could say, okay, that, or we could say an hour of hanging out with your friends. We could list a whole bunch of things that are extremely, informal things. We can make it a little bit more complicated and say, like, well, if you're doing this instead of going to work, we could put a dollar amount on it. If you make $10 an hour, well, you're actually giving up $10 an hour on what you're not able to do. And we could list all sorts of different things that you are giving up to make a decision. Eventually we'll identify the one trade-off that is the most valuable, okay, and we're going to refer to that as an opportunity cost. We're going to talk about that term a whole lot more in a couple more parts, but it's just a fancy econ vocab term that instead of saying like, hey, what was most valuable, what did you miss the most by choosing to do something, we're just going to call it an opportunity cost. Sometimes we can use graphs and other things that help us predict things. We'll get to that actually in unit two, actually a little bit in later on in this unit two, but we can start proving some of the ways people have to behave based on certain limited circumstances. And at the end of the day, economists, like we said, it's a social science. So we try to make predictions, and economists try to predict how certain policies are going to affect people. And so, just like a scientist is going to run an experiment, they create a hypothesis. If I mix these two chemicals, then I think this will happen. Well, economics is if I raise taxes, will that help our economy? Or if I lower taxes, will that help our economy? And if we can get those types of policies passed on those super large scales, then eventually we can analyze the data, and eventually we can say, okay, it either worked or it didn't work, and come up with a new policy. So again, it's doing stuff that we do every single day. We're analyzing people's decisions. Just like when you are trying to post on social media and say, hey, listen, if I post this on social media, I'm going to try to get a lot of likes. And either you get a lot of likes and you're like, hey, I was pretty smart, or you don't get any likes and you're like, well, that wasn't very good. I got to try something different next time. Economics is the same way, right? We're trying to predict how people are going to behave. Okay, last thing here, okay, daily blog, you're going to write some things down. Create a couple T charts, all right, and you can just list positive and negatives if you have to type these in, of the benefits of going to college and not going to college. Go ahead, take a quick second at that, and we'll talk about what we are trying to get you to realize. Okay, hopefully you're back here, and um, if you do a little research, you can see how expensive colleges are. And so, first of all, let's just talk about the two um, costs that go into college. So first of all, you have, and this isn't the perfect website, but you have your tuition and fees, and that is what you pay to go to school. But notice you also have living costs over here. We'll kind of ignore these middle two columns where it says cost per credit hour and books and supplies. Okay, so your living costs, as you can see, there are some differences between on campus and off campus depending on what you do. But notice, for the most part, it's going to be somewhere in the range of $8,000 to $10,000, right? Keep in mind, you have to, if you're going to live on your own somewhere, you've got to pay those costs too. And, whether that be for rent, whether that be for some type of house payment, food, all that stuff is included in your room and board. Over here is your tuition. Okay, there's two general types of colleges. You've got private colleges. Anderson University is a private college. Ball State is a public college. This is for out of state people for Ball State. So notice private colleges, and you can see the link on the previous slide, and you can kind of go look at this yourself. Private colleges, on average, I'd say about 3 times as much as a state college. Okay, so if you were to kind of say, and one of the conversations I get, and your T chart probably had something, oh, college is expensive and it takes a lot of time and those types of things. And maybe I don't pick the right, major at first and, doing those types of things. And that's completely fine. Hopefully you've really thought about it. And some of you might be closer than others, and that's completely okay. And then on the flip side, you probably said, okay, well, if I got a job right now, I can make money right now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can save money. I don't want to go into debt if I go to college. Well, let's have a real economic conversation here. Right here is IUSB. Now, if the conversation is that you are going to not go to college because it's too expensive, let's have a real life conversation. All right. So this is your yearly tuition for IUSB. If money's really an issue and you have some options to save money, let's just cancel the cost of living out here. Maybe you can live with your parents, whatever, maybe not, whatever the case might be. You have that obviously is going to complicate things, but make my math easy here. IUSB is 7,700 a year. Okay. So now that we know that, all right, let's, like I said, talk about some economics here that are maybe a little bit outside the box. So we've got, let's call it 8,000 a year for college. Okay, excuse my handwriting there. It's hard to draw on my screen. Now, a conversation I'll have with students sometimes, well, previous students that have graduated, are that I'm going to take some time off and I'm going to go and save some money and go to college next year. Okay, that's completely wonderful. It's fair, especially if you don't really know what you want to do. But let's kind of talk about, what's occurring when you do that. So this is a timeline of your life. Okay, post high school. You're supposed to graduate high school when you're 18. Post high school, graduate college in a perfect world at 22. All right. Remember, if money's the issue, all righty, $8,000 a year at IUSB, let's multiply that by 4. That's 32,000 total. And again, you can do your own research. Not many people pay that sticker price, so to speak. Okay, so you'll get some money back from FAFSA. You're going to save some money. It might not be as expensive as you think. Now, let's say that you found a pretty good job, and at your job, you were able to make, let's call it $12 an hour. Okay. Let's say you work 40 hours a week. All right. So 40 hours a week equals $480. You can check my math if you'd like. We're going to round that up to 500, or I'm sorry, yes, $500 a week. Okay. Now let's multiply that by 50 weeks. Okay. All right. You work there for 50 weeks. You do really, really good stuff. You work there 50 weeks times 5 is going to be $25,000 for the year. Nice work, right? Now, you get to keep all that money. Well, probably not, right? First of all, you haven't paid taxes yet, right? You paid $25,000, but taxes are going to take out at least 20%, probably a little bit more in this case. So 20% of 25,000 is $5,000. Okay, so you've now kept $20,000, assuming, again, hopefully you get to enjoy the money a little bit, right? But you haven't spent any money on anything, gas, food, dates, whatever the case might be, right? So let's just say throughout the course of the year, again, you can be super, super frugal. And let's say that you saved $16,000. That'd be pretty commendable, to be honest with you. Now, if you save this much, you're able to pay for 2 years of college. Okay. Now, the problem is now you're 19. Okay. Now you're pushing your graduation year from a 4-year college to 23. Well, what job are you going to do after college? Right? I don't think you're going to college to earn, $12 an hour, right? I think you're going to college to earn a little bit more money. Let's just say a conversation I had with a young lady was that she was going to be a nurse. Okay. The average nurse, probably starting off, makes about $45,000 a year. Average nurse salary is about $60,000 a year. You'll have a chance to do some research with that in a different unit. Okay. Now, what does she really give up? Because here she made 25,000. Okay. Pretty good. Check mark. However, she gave up making 45,000 in this year right here. Right. So again, like if it's a money thing, right? Be able to analyze if it's about money, realize what you're really giving up if you choose to take that year off of college. If that's the only reason. Okay. hopefully that gets you thinking kind of outside the box a little bit. If you have questions, by all means, email. Look forward to talking to you soon.